Hi guys, welcome to the Boat Shack. I've had a few people ask me about a fly that I catch carp on. I've been catching carp on this fly for 23, 24 years now. I caught my first carp 25 years ago, and I caught him on a woolly worm. And this fly that I tie is basically a woolly worm, and I haven't named it because it's just a woolly worm with a couple of materials changed, and I'm not into taking a known pattern and changing a couple of materials and then naming it after you. But a friend of a friend taught me into doing this video. I never thought I'd do a fly tying video, but Chino, this is for you. He taught me into doing this, and he calls it the Mac Attack. So I guess we're going to go with that. We'll blame it on Chino. But it's a real easy fly to tie. You can tie a lot of them. A couple of Saturday afternoons you can tie enough for a full season. Very easy, very few materials. It's not a weighted fly. It's really effective in real shallow water. If you're wading and you're in very shallow water and you have fish with their backs out of the water, this fly will land in the water very quietly. It's a very soft presentation, so you can cast a lot closer to a fish without spooking him. The sink rate on it's really slow, so if you're fishing in an area where there's a lot of grass, a lot of debris on the bottom, you don't have to worry about this fly getting tangled as bad as you do a weighted fly. So I tied on a Mustad hook, a stainless steel hook, the 34007. You can tie it on different size hooks, of course, and make the fly bigger or smaller, and you can change up some of the materials. You can add weight to it. Add a lead wire to the hook shank to weight it, or you can put bead chain eyes on it, or even dumbbell eyes on it. But this is a fly I usually fish when I'm wade fishing. It's not very good if you're fishing out of a boat, because you're generally in a little deeper water, and this fly doesn't sink fast enough to get down to the zone where the fish are. So, but when I'm wading, this is a fly I tie on most of the time, and I've caught literally hundreds of fish on it over the years. And not only carp, I've caught just about everything on the flats. Drum, a couple of buffalo. I've caught sand bass up on the flats, largemouth bass, bluegills, just about anything that comes on the flats, catfish. I've caught on this pattern. So it's a really good pattern, good all-around pattern for most of the fish that you're going to see in shallow water. So let's get after tying this thing. So, as I said, I'm using the Mustad, the 34007 stainless steel hook in a size 4. I like this size hook. It works really well for me. The weight of it is just right, and the size of it makes a good size fly. It's not too big, not too small. This is my go-to size right here. So for thread, I'm using the Danville's flat waxed nylon thread, and we're just going to wrap the shank of the hook here to give us a base. There's not a lot of materials in this fly, so this is an easy fly to tie if you need to tie a lot of them really quickly. Alright, so now we got a good base tied, and I'm going to stop the thread right about the point of the hook. And so now for the tail, I use the strung marabou. This is olive, and I like the tail to be about the length of the hook shank, so about that long right there. And then we'll just tie that in. I don't like the tail to be overly big. I try to keep it fairly on the small side, and I don't like it to be too terribly bushy. But carp generally feed on small bugs and insects, so I try to keep this thing a little on the smaller side. So we'll get the tail wrapped in, and then I like to put about 2 or 3 strands of Crystal Flash. I'm using Pearl Crystal Flash. There's all kinds of different colors out there, and I really don't think the color makes any difference. It's just you want just a little bit of flash, and so I'll tie in I'm tying in 4 strands, it looks like, on this one. I just tie those right on the top of the hook shank, and then I cut them off about the end of the tip of the tail like that. Just a little bit, just to give it just a little bit of flash. Next is the chenille. It's a chenille body. I use medium red chenille, and I'm going to run my thread back up to about the middle of the hook shank. I don't tie my chenille all the way up to the back of the eye of the hook like a lot of patterns, like the woolly bugger and the woolly worm and all that. I tie it about half of the hook shank just to keep the fly smaller and a little more compact. And so I tie it in right at the midpoint of the hook shank, and then tie it off back to the base of the tail. And then we're going to tie in one brown saddle hackle, and we palmer this just like the woolly bugger. And so we're going to tie it in at the butt section of the feather, and tie it back to the butt of where the tail is. Cut off our excess there. And then, like I said, I only give about 2 or 3 wraps of the chenille. So just to keep it kind of small. I just want to tie it just about to the halfway point of the hook shank, about right there. We'll give that a couple of wraps to tie it in. This just gives it kind of a little stubbier look to it. And the good thing about this red chenille body is it kind of acts as a strike indicator too. If you get into a situation where you're having a hard time seeing the fish, a lot of times I can see this fly, and the way I know the fish is taking it is I see this red chenille just disappear. The fish will come up and suck the fly in, that chenille just disappears, I can't see it anymore, and that sometimes tells me that it's time to set the hook. Okay, so now what we have to do is palmer in our hackle, and I do that, like I said, the same way you do a woolly bugger. About 2 or 3 turns of that. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Cut the tip off, and then tie a good head on it, and that's the fly. As I said, you can sit down and knock out a whole bunch of these. Give her a whip finish. And there she is. Easy fly to tie. So if any of you guys do tie this fly up and you go out and you catch some fish with it, please let me hear from you. I'd like to hear your story. Tell me about how you did it. I was telling you guys about catching my first carp 25 years ago. I've got a video coming out on that here real soon. I'm just about finished editing it, and I'll be putting it on my channel here before long. So if you guys don't want to miss out on that, you might consider subscribing to my channel. So thanks for watching, and hope to hear from you guys soon.